Yeah, it sounds good to me.
Okay. Okay. 10 miracles performed for our ancestors in the Holy Temple. One, no woman ever miscarried because of a fragrant smell of the sacrificial meat. The sacrificial meats never became spoiled. A fly was never seen in the temple butchering area. A seminal discharge was never occurred to the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur. Rains never extinguished the fires on the altar pyre, and the winds never overcame the column of smoke rising from atop the altar. No cause for disqualification was ever found in the Omer, the Shtei Lechem, or the Lechem Apanim. They who assembled in the temple would be standing crowded together, yet prostrated themselves in ample space. And no snake nor scorpion ever harmed anyone in Jerusalem. And no man ever said to his friend, "This space is too restricted for me to stay in Jerusalem." 10 things were created on the first Sabbath eve at twilight, and these are they: the opening of the earth's mouth, the mouth of Miriam's well, the mouth of the donkey, the rainbow, the manna, and the staff, the shomer worm, the script, the reading, and the tablets. And some say also the destructive spirits, Moses' burial place, and the ram of our father Abraham. And some say also the first man-made tongues were made with heavenly songs, tongues. tongues. 7 things were found in a crude person and 7 in a wise person. A wise person does not speak before someone who is greater than himself in wisdom or in number. He does not interrupt the words of his friend. He does not hasten to answer. He asks relevant questions and answers appropriately. He discusses first things first and last things last. About that which is not heard, he says, "I have not heard." And he concedes the truth, and the opposite is found in a crude person.
Okay. So, and now we move on to the number 7. Oh, well, we've just started with 7 with the previous Mishnah. And carrying on in the number 7, there are 7 types of distraction. Shiva mane Puranios ba'in lam. Al Shiva Gufei Avaira, which are Mida Keneged Mida, against 7 categories of Avera. And these are not just like Averas of the individual. This is when society has gone wrong. These are societal sins that have started to happen, which is why it starts why the retribution starts hitting society in general rather than just being stored up for one person. Okay, al shiva gufa avera miktasan ma'asrin or miktasan enan ma'asrin. So if the halachas of maaser are only being kept by part of the population and half of them are disregarding them, rav shel batzores ba, then you have a famine caused by drought. Why famine caused by drought? Because that means that some things still grow. Okay, miktasan ra'evim and miktasan seveim. Some people go hungry and some people are satisfied. Okay, that's the mida keneged mida. Some people give, some people don't. Therefore, the famine does not affect some people and does affect other people. Although here, I mean, it's not Dafka saying that it will affect the Rishaim and not the tzaddikim. It's obviously when this kind of thing happens, it's all going to be all about your socioeconomic status because food's going to be expensive. So rich people can buy food. Okay. Gamru shelo la'aser. The society as a whole decided that's it. We're not keeping maaser anymore. Then we have Rav Shel Mahuma v'Shel Batzores. That's a complete famine then, because if nobody's going to give maaser, then mida keneged mida, nobody's going to have food. V'Shelo litol es chala, and not taking challah from dough. Rav Shel Klaya. This is now an even more severe famine. Why is challah worse than maaser? Because maaser, you could say in people's defense and say, okay, look, they got irritated because there was no way that they could enjoy their food without giving maaser. But challah, there's a way around it. If you just make small batches, then you don't have to take challah. So when people are dafka baking large batches and still refusing to give challah, that's much more of a hachis. It's like, yeah, we dafka not giving. So that comes to a famine of klaya, obliteration that wipes out Yeshuvim. Rahman al-Islam. So what is pestilence? Pestilence comes to the world for what? Al-misas ha'amaros b'Torah, for the death penalties that are said in the Torah, shelon imsru lebeis din, but are not in the hands of beis din. So society as a whole is committing sins that have kares and have misa b'dei shemayim. Okay, Va'al Peros Shvius, and also on the produce of the Shemitah year, if people are treating it, are selling it and doing commerce, rather than leaving it to be free for anyone. Cherev Ba'al Olam, the sword comes to the world, Al Inoi Hadin, for perversion of justice. Right, we have psukim on this where it says that that if actually, he doesn't quote the psukim in the in Kahati over here, but I don't want to quote them by heart, but there are psukim in the Torah where it says that if you don't do justice to the widows and the orphan, then I'll bring the sword, and your wives will be widows and your children orphans. Okay, Al Inoy Adin, Val Ivos Hadin, for a false judgment or for perversion of justice. Al Hamorim b'Torah shelok halach, and people who teach Torah that is a distorted perception of a distorted presentation of Torah. Mishna Tes continues the sequence. What for what do evil beasts come into the world? Al Shavuos Shav, for false oaths and for desecration of God's name. Why is this a midah keneged midah? Right, so it comes from a drush on the psukim in Bechukasai. If through these things you do not turn yourself back to me, with an oath. So this kind of oath is now talking. So for violations of oaths, this brings sword into the world from the pasuk. Okay, galos ba'al olam, and what is exile caused by? Al ovdei avodah zarah, for idol worship, giloi arayos, for forbidden relations, al shvichas damim, and on bloodshed. So where we've got psukim again for this, the hishmadtias b'amosechem, says the pasuk, nasatis pigrechem pigre gilulechem, all talking about the avodah zarah. V'hashim osias mikdashechem v'eschem ezareh b'goyim. So again, this is also from Bechukosai. Among the curses, it talks about the punishments for avodah zarah, and then straight away it goes into scattering you among the nations. Gilo Harayas, it talks about this in this week's parasha. Okay, it talks about the land vomiting you out for sexual relations, for forbidden sexual relations.
I was waiting for this because I haven't, so far in the ones we've done, I haven't seen anything about like what happened with Noah, with with all the people, what they were doing. And so
that was also a very unique sort of situation. Also, there's not going to be another flood in the world. That's what Hashem had promised.
Right. But I was waiting to see where this would fit in, and now I see it. It's right here. So.
Right. Okay. Al shvichas damim. So again, taking from the pasuk, v'lo tachnifo es haaretz asher atem ba, ki hadamu yachnif es haaretz. If there's blood in the land, v'lo tzatamei es haaretz asher atem yoshvim ba, you shouldn't defile the land that you're in. Asher ani shachen b'socha, which means that if you and the drasha is here that if you're matame the land with blood, you will not get to live on it, and I won't dwell among you. So that's for, and that's interesting because you know that the first we have a Messiah, that the first Beis Hamikdash and the first Galus was because of Shvichas Damim, Giloi Arayos, and Avodah Zarah, and that's what we mentioned over here. Okay, and also for failing to observe the Shemitah. Well, that's also specifically in Parshas Bahar. As tirtzeh haaretz is, oh no, it's in Bechukas also. As tirtzeh haaretz is Shabbos oseh kol yimei hoshama v'atem ba'aretz oyeveichem. So the land gets to rest for all the shmitas you didn't keep. And so that's also a cause of galus Rahman al-Islam. So we've just listed our 7 forms of distraction that come to the world. We also carry on to explain that there are 4 periods when we are particularly susceptible to dever. What are they? Berevius ubashvius. In the 4th year and the 7th year, that's actually over Motzei Shvius, and in the year after the 7th year, over Motzei Chag shebechol shana v'shana. Okay, and the Mishnah goes on to explain why. Berevius mipnei maaser oni shebeshlishis. So in the 4th year is because if people were not careful about maaser oni in the 3rd year. Okay, ubeshvius mipnei maaser oni shebeshishis, and again you've got maaser oni in the 6th year. So in the 7th year is if people didn't keep their maaser oni. Remember, like Erev Pesach in the 4th and the 7th year is when you have to say your maser, your vidui maser, to say I've given it and whatever. And if you haven't given it, bye. Okay. Or Motzei Shvius, and in the 8th year, we play Paris Shvius, and the 8th year is also susceptible because of the 7th year produce, if that was not observed. And at the end of Sukkot every year, because of stealing the presents, the gifts that are due to the poor, because they did not, for example, allow the poor to come and take the leket shicha paya from all of the fields, and Sukkot is the Chag HaAsif, that's the festival of gathering. So once that's done, if the aniyim didn't get their share, that's trouble. Okay, we now switch on to the number 4, and the Mishnah starts telling us about 4 different characteristics, and we'll see quite a few of these 4s. Arba midos ba'adam. So there are 4 different characteristics of people. Ha'omer sheli sheli v'shalach shalach. What's mine is mine. What's yours is yours. Stay out of my business. I'll stay out of your business. Zomida beinonis. That's an average person who's just he's makpid on his property rights. He won't affect anyone else, but he won't help anyone else either. That's okay. So it's a beinoni, but yesh omrim zomidas stom. That's also a midah of stom, because stom was very much on that kind of wavelength where they said we're not into chesed. They refused to do chesed, and that ultimately was the cause of destruction of stom. Sheli shalach v'shalach sheli. What's mine is yours. What's yours is mine. This is an Amma Aretz. So what he's saying, look, we'll have a communality of property. What's yours is mine. What's mine is yours. Let's just enjoy it all together. It's a nice sentiment, and he's called an Amma Aretz. He's not called evil. He's just called a fool. He's like somebody who's just like doesn't understand what's going on over here. That's kind of a socialist viewpoint. We don't have not respecting property rights. Sheli shalach v'shalach shalach chassid. So somebody says whatever is mine is yours. I don't think that the Mishnah is expecting a person to give away everything of his. That would be foolish. But when somebody's free with his property to say, you need help, here, take, and he doesn't want to take from anyone else, that's the chassid. Sheli v'shalach sheli, Rasha. Okay, well that goes without saying. He says what's mine is mine. He begrudges everyone else, but he's happy to accept gifts from others. Okay. Daled Vav.
What was that?
No, it's no Avos.
Sorry, I just moved the page. Sorry, Daled Vav. Okay, right here. Rabbi Yossi says, whoever honors the Torah is himself honored by people, and whoever disgraces the Torah is himself disgraced by people. Rabbi Yishmael, son of Rabbi Yossi, says, one who withdraws from judgment removes himself hatred, robbery, and the responsibility for an unnecessary oath. The one who is too self-confident is issuing legal decisions is a fool, is wicked, and is arrogant of spirit. He used to say, do not judge alone, for none judges alone except one. And do not say except my view, for they are permitted to, but not you.
Yeah, about a Zara.
is Gimel Bet. If one finds fragments of images, they are permitted. If you found the figure of a hand or the figure of a foot, they are prohibited because such objects are worshipped. If one finds utensils upon which there is a figure of the sun or a figure of the moon or a figure of a dragon, he should cast them into the Dead Sea. Shimon ben Gamliel says those which are prominent utensils are prohibited, but those which are uncommon utensils are permitted. Rabbi Yoshi says he may grind it and scatter it to the wind or cast it into the sea. They said to him, even so, it becomes fertilizer, which is prohibited. As it said, nothing of that which is banned shall be cleaved to your land. Proclus, the son of Philophus, asked of Rabbi Gamliel in Akako, while he who was bathing in the bathhouse of Aphrodite, said to him, it is written in your Torah, nothing of that which is banned shall cleave to your hand. Why then you do the bathe in the bathhouse of Aphrodite? He replied, one may not answer in the bathhouse. And when he went out, he said to him, I did not come into her domain, she came into my domain. We do not say the bathhouse is made of an adornment to Aphrodite, but we say Aphrodite is made as an adornment to the bathhouse. Another reason, even if they would pay you a large sum of money, would you still not enter before your idol naked, or with a seminal admission, or urinate before it? If this one stands by opening of the sewer pipe, and all the people urinate in front of her, it is stated only their gods. That which is treated as God is prohibited, and that which is not treated as a God is permitted.
Okay, that's it. Baba Basra.
Okay, Zion. If someone distributes his property orally, if Eliezer says whether he is healthy or dangerously ill, properties which can become subject to a lien or acquired through money, a document, or an act of possession, those which cannot become subject to a lien are acquired only through Mishikacha. They said to him, it occurred with the mother of the son of Rachel's that she was ill, and she said, give my veil to my daughter, and it is worth 12 manna. And she died, and they upheld her words. He said to her, as to the sons of Rachel, their mother should bury them. Sages say on the Sabbath his words are upheld because he cannot write. But on weekdays, Rabbi Yeshua said they said it on the Sabbath and certainly on weekdays. Similarly, one can acquire on behalf of a minor. One cannot acquire on behalf of an adult. Rabbi Yeshua says they said it for a minor and certainly for an adult. If a house collapsed upon a man, then his father, and upon him, and one from whom he inherits, and there was a wife's kasuba or a creditor's claim outstanding against him, the father's heirs claim that the son died first, and then the father, while the creditors claim that the father died first, and then the son. Beis Shammai say they divide the estate. But Beis Hillel says the property retains its status.
Okay.
Avos. A woman whose husband and co-wife went overseas and they came and said to her, your husband died, may not marry or be taken in Yubim until she knows if her co-wife is pregnant. If she had a mother-in-law, she need not concern herself. Whereas the one who without witness is permitted. One had children, but the other did not.
What you skipped? You skipped.
Let's get to the page. However, if she departed while pregnant, she must concern herself. Remember, Yeshua says she need not consider it. If there were two sisters-in-laws and one stated, my husband died, each one is prohibited to marry because of the other's husband. If one had witnesses but the other did not, the one with witnesses is prohibited to marry, whereas the one without witnesses is permitted. If one had children by the other one did, and the other one did not, the other one with children is permitted to marry, whereas the one without children is prohibited. If they were taken in Yubim and the Yamos then died, they are prohibited from remarrying. Since Reb Elazar says that since they are permitted to be Yuvamim, they are permitted to all men. One may only testify that a man is dead if he saw the face and nose, and even though they are identifying marks on the body or clothing. One may only testify that a man is dead if he actually saw him dead, but not if he saw him cut, hanging, or being devoured by a wild beast. One may only testify if he saw the body within 3 days. If Judas ben Baba says not all men or areas or times are alike.
Okay.
And Trumos. Let me give you a little bit. If one of them fell into Chulin, it does not render it Meduma. If the second one fell into another place, it does not render it Meduma. If both fell into the same place, they render it Meduma according to the smaller of the two. If partner separated truma one after the other, Rebbe Akiva says the truma of both of them is truma. So the Chachamim say the truma of the first is truma, and Rebbe Yossi says if the first grave a prescribed amount, the truma of the second is not truma, but the first did not give the prescribed amount, the truma of the second is truma. When does this apply? If he did not speak, but he gave permission to a member of the family or to a bondman or a bondswoman to separate truma, his truma is truma. If he annulled it before they separated the truma, his truma is not truma. But if he annulled it after he had separated the truma, his truma is truma, and laborers have no authority to separate truma except the treaders, since they render the winepress unclean immediately. And we have folios. Okay. Oh. If a landlord of corpse powder was scattered, if a ladle of corpse powder was scattered inside a house, the house becomes tummy. Reb Shimon declares it tahor. If a quarter log of blood was absorbed into the house is tahor. If blood was absorbed into a garment, if its quarter log of blood came out when the garment is washed, the garment is tummy. If not, it remains tahor, and because whatever is absorbed and cannot come out is tahor. A quarter log of coarse blood was spilled in the air, and if the place where the blood spilled was on an incline, and a person formed an ohel over part of the blood, he remains tahor. If the blood was in a crack or congealed, the person becomes tummy. If the blood was spilled onto the threshold of a house that inclines either inward or outward, and the house forms a roof over it, the house remains tahor. And if the blood was in a crack or if it congealed, the house becomes tummy. Every part of a corpse is tummy except for the teeth, hair, and nails. While they are connected to the body, they are all tummy. How so? If a corpse is outside and his hair is inside the house becomes tummy. The bone has on it an olive-sized piece of flesh. If the part of this bone was brought under the roof of a house, the contents of the house become tummy. If there are two bones, each of which has on it a half of olive-sized piece of flesh, if a part of each bone was brought onto the roof of the house, the contents of the house becomes tummy. And if they were attached by man, the house remains tahor, because whatever is attached by man does not consider an inherent attachment.
Okay. And that's us for today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye.